TG Geeks, episode 164, April 9th, 2018. What do cats and props and filmmaking have to do with anything? Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona, where the Phoenix Film Festival is taking place as we speak.
And I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you from my gosh, this crazy week, and now the most insane week here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah,
and this is only the beginning.
A crazy week, and we have another crazy week, and then another crazy week.
Oh yeah, I mean, lots going on.
It's just nuttiness. I'll tell you about nuttiness.
Oh yeah, I'm sensing nuttiness, all right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what we get for taking a weekend off just to go to Disneyland.
Exactly. All right, well, we have an interview for you today, and this one is very interesting, so we're going to get right to it. And this time on the show, we have Linda Reese, who is a prop master turned director. And
veteran prop master.
Veteran prop master turned director. And she's here to talk about what she directed, a new film. Welcome to the show, Linda.
Hi, guys. Nice to be on. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us, who is Linda Reese, and what is it? How did you get into the business of filmmaking, and what does the prop master do, and how did you decide to be a director? I mean, all of that in one there, just a scatter shot, you know?
Take your time.
I'll chunk it down to portions. How did I get into the business? Well, I was a nanny. I'm a trained nanny from England, and I was a nanny in the New York and Los Angeles for some very wealthy families, and I basically looked after their kids and ran their homes and organized their lives and did everything for them.
Right.
And after several years of doing that, I sort of realized that I didn't want to look after other people anymore. And a friend of mine was in production and said, "Oh, you should get into production because you're very organized and you know your way around LA and you've got all these contacts." And at that point, I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to finally get into the film industry after all this time of living in Los Angeles, I don't want to basically do the same thing I've been doing.
Right.
I want to do something more creative. And there's a television show in the UK called Blue Peter that I grew up with.
Yeah.
And you know Blue Peter?
Oh, yes, I'm familiar with Blue Peter.
They used to give Blue Peter badges out, and they would make things out of, toilet roll holders and yogurt pots and things. And I loved that show, and I was always making things. And so I just decided I wanted to get into the art department. And I had a friend who was a prop master, and we sat down with a bottle of wine one Friday night, and I told him everything I'd ever done in life. And he created a resume for me.
Oh, my.
Of like a starter resume to send out, sort of taking my various, work experience and creative talents, etc., and wording it in such a way that would make it attractive.
Right.
And this was pre-internet, going and Googling things. I had to go and buy Dramalog, and I had to go and buy the LA 411, which is a book that had everybody's name and number in, and then I had to phone people.
Oh,
and
my.
I sent out about 500 resumes the first week, like having printed them and put them in envelopes and stuck them down and put stamps on and addressed them by hand.
Oh, my gosh.
I know, it's crazy. And 2 weeks later, I was production designing music videos on the weekends for free. and I was running around getting coffee and picking up dry cleaning for producers on commercials during the week.
Wow, it's kind
So
of
that's
a
how I
production
sort of got
assistant.
into it.
Yeah.
built up my resume by a lot of work for free, and the production company that I worked for on commercials as a PA knew that I was doing that on the weekends, and they started to want to see the things that I'd worked on, and eventually they gave me a break and let me prop some of their commercials. And finally, one or two of the many hundred people I worked for free actually got paying jobs. And one thing led to another, and here I am.
Wow,
Woke
that's
up one
amazing.
morning and I have a career. Who knew?
Yeah. How many years later?
It's too long, too many years, I think. So,
Well, yeah, we talk pre-internet.
Yeah.
That's getting longer, further
Yeah.
and further away there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
I've got two questions. Now, obviously, you said it was pre-internet. Do you mind telling us? You mind giving us a year roughly as to when you did this? And the other question. Go ahead.
87.
87?
1987.
Oh my gosh, that is such okay.
Wow.
And the other question that I've got is, I'm curious. I mean, with the movies that Keith and I watch, I mean, with a lot of science fiction and all of that, I mean, we understand a lot of those props are clearly they're designed, they're made in a prop shop. But with something along the lines, you said you're doing props for commercials. What does that entail? I'm just kind of curious. I mean,
Well,
that sounds kind of
Yeah,
odd.
you got the Kleenex box sitting over there and the coffee
Yeah,
cup.
I mean, do you
and
just
the-
kind of like scrounge a store
Well,
and then what?
With you, okay, so let's just say you're doing a Kleenex commercial. You have to have what they call a color-corrected, beautiful box that's printed by some fabulous commercial graphic company. And they all come wrapped in bubble wrap and paper, and nobody can touch them without having gloves on, so that you have the perfect Kleenex box. If you're doing, I did a lot of food commercials, and I remember the commercial that I left commercials on, and it was the one I decided I wasn't going to do any more commercials, was a cereal commercial for some, I can't remember whether it was Kellogg's Flakes or something, but it was definitely a flake cereal. And for 4 days, I spent with hundreds of boxes of cereals, pouring them out on a 4x4 net to first off get rid of all the dust, then go through and pick out with tweezers all the perfect cornflakes
Oh my
and keep them
Lord.
aside. Then once that was done, I was in a large soundstage, and when you do commercials, especially food commercials like this, it's a very small area that you're shooting in. So I'm on a ladder over the top of a table with a large pair of tweezers, moving cornflakes around in this bowl and placing them.
Oh, jeez.
With the camera watching, and somewhere far away in the dark corner were the clients and the agency, and I suddenly heard this voice from the corner saying, when I was lying in bed thinking about this commercial, I saw bigger cornflakes.
Oh, for
And at that
heaven's
point,
sake.
I thought to myself, first of all, that guy needs to get out more. And secondly, I don't want to do this anymore.
I guess. Oh, my Lord.
Not very creative. If all you can do lying in bed is see cornflakes, you really need to get out.
That is a priceless story.
It's a great story, and I'm thinking, my God, no wonder you got out. I mean, not only is that unbelievably tedious, but it's on some weird level, it sounds utterly vile.
Yeah.
Having to do something like that.
Yeah.
Well, and I know that on some food commercials, the food, they have to paint it and do all this other
Oh, it never
crazy-
looks as good in real
crazy
life.
crap to it to make it look good on the screen, and it's like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, well they used to do all sorts of things, like use Elmer's glue for milk and all sorts of things.
Ugh.
But then sometime, I guess it must have been like the late 80s or early 90s, Truth in Advertising, which is an oxymoron to start off with, but Truth in Advertising basically laid down laws saying you couldn't you could only use what was really used in the product. You couldn't change the milk for something else, or you couldn't do, you couldn't make things up. So I remember doing a yogurt commercial, and again, here's another vile visual. I had to pour individual tubs of yogurt through a strainer and rinse them out so I could find out the average amount of pieces of apricot.
What?
Oh, for heaven's sake.
So they said, okay, you have to take like 40, and then you have to work out what the average amount is, and then you can only use that amount. But again, I had to do the same thing. I couldn't take an apricot and cut it up and put it in. I had to use the apricots that were in the yogurt, so to take them out and then rinse them all off and then sort of cut off all the little straggly bits and make these perfect little squares of apricot to dot all over the yogurt.
Oh, that's
crazy.
Are you hearing this, folks? Are you sure you want to get into filmmaking?
Yeah.
And commercials.
Oh yeah.
God, it's revolting.
It's all bright like Big City.
Yeah.
Well, it's
oh my gosh.
It's clear that you certainly, after doing something like that, you paid your dues.
Klingon opera, yeah.
And,
I know, I do. It was so much fun to finally, get into narrative.
Wow.
And get out of, commercials pay great, and if you're just in it for the money, it's a good place to be.
Yeah.
But I'm really not in it. I mean, we're all in it for the money, but I'm not really in it for the money because I do a lot of things for free. I made my short for no money. I've production designed several other shorts for free. I do this job because I love it.
Right. Well,
the money is just the icing on the cake for me.
Exactly. We do this podcast and run our website because we love what we do. We are so far in the hole we could never catch up.
Oh no, that's why we still have day jobs.
Exactly. we have real jobs.
Yeah, I wish this was my real job.
Yeah, but
so hopefully soon it will be.
Yeah. So if we win the lottery, that's probably how that's going to happen. So as a prop master for what you're doing now, we've been to the Universal. We were in their big shop.
Prop warehouse.
Yeah, prop warehouse.
Yeah,
I assume that's what you do for the shows that you're working on now. Obviously, if you're not doing production in the studio and you're out and about where you are, I assume you get some of those things from local shops and grocery stores or Walmart, shall we say?
Yeah, Walmart is the prop annex for prop masters. Unless you're doing a period show, and then it's a bit different. I mean, it's a mixture for me. There are several prop houses in Los Angeles that I use on a frequent basis to rent items from.
Okay.
I also eBay is, I struggle when I finish a job because I can't go and buy 8 things in 2 seconds on eBay because I'll be paying for them.
Right.
But I can burn through a lot of money on eBay in a day.
Oh, I'm sure.
Wow. But what I like to do is, especially for the period shows, for like when I did Stranger Things, and also this season of True Detective has a 1980s storyline and a 1990s storyline. So I'll go out and I'll go to flea markets and antique malls and I'll find things. And what's great about eBay is I can then come back and find multiples of those items, because for props we always need 4 of everything rather than just 1 of everything.
Right.
So you mentioned Stranger Things, and I bring this up because that's a TV show that Keith and I absolutely 100% fell madly in love with, and a lot of that has to do with that whole 80s environment that was crafted there. Were you working on the show for season 1 or just season 2 or both?
Both of them.
Because I can tell you that right from the very first episode, I geeked out so heavily at just the props. So bad.
Thank you.
I nerded out so badly because Keith and I we're in our mid to late 50s.
Yeah, we're of that age.
So watching these kids and the adults even handling these particular props that were so prevalent in the 1980s just tickled my funny bone in the biggest way. So like some of the handheld devices and all of that. I'm sure that must have been just a nightmare trying to curate some of those props for that show.
It was fun. It was really fun, and luckily for me, I'm of that same age group too, and so I was actually there, which I would constantly say to them all, because obviously the kids were young,
right?
The teams were young, and my directors were young. None of them were adults in the 80s, and so I was able to sort of say, with authority, this would have been right, or that would have been right, or we should use this, or we should use that. And I was living in the States at the time, so and I was looking after kids, so I was had a wealth of knowledge that I was able to bring to it.
Right.
And of course, because of the homage to all the classic movies,
right,
we were able to go back and watch those and look at stuff and know that that we were right with our choice.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's great. So what made you transition, or what made you think that you wanted to transition to being a director? We just were at Phoenix Film Festival, and there was a women directors panel that we were late to, but it was great to hear female filmmakers. So tell us your story.
Well, for me, I was it had never really occurred to me to direct, and I am involved with a group on the Isle of Man where my house is. But I'm rarely there, but I have lived there on and off for the last 10 years, and I've worked with this Man in Shorts group, production designing short films for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have a prop house that is on the island that specializes in Americana for the UK film industry. So any American story-based films that are done at Pinewood or in Europe, they rent props from me.
Wow.
So I was back on the Isle of Man, and I just moved my prop house into a bigger location, and gentleman Dave Armstrong, who started Man in Shorts, came down to see the prop house. I invited him over for a cup of tea and to have a look round. And he said to me, we're getting ready for Pitch Fest, which they do every year, and you pitch to a script to direct, and they give a grant out at the Isle of Man Film Festival. And he said, you should pitch something. You've never pitched. This is the last year we're going to do it. You should jump in. And I'm like, but I'm not a writer. I don't have a script. And he goes, but you know people, ask somebody to write you a script. You should do it.
Interesting.
And I thought, oh, okay, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
And I asked a friend of mine who I've collaborated on several projects with, John Crane, to write a script. And I said to him, I want a narrative, I want a story, beginning, middle, and end, rather than a slice of time, which a lot of shorts are.
Right.
Except for my first directing project, I'd like to be able to develop, a backstory for my character and a world to place them in, and have a beginning, middle, and an end. I said I wanted something that we could film on the Isle of Man, and something that we could do with the money that we planned to raise. And he sent me a couple of scripts, and they didn't feel right. And then he sent me Ready to Go. And I could see it as I was reading it in my head, right off the bat. And I loved it. And I pulled together the pitch, and I presented it to Isle of Man Film, and the members from BFI, the British Film Institute, were there. And I think there was about 20 or 30 scripts that had come in, and I was one of the 3 that they picked. And so we got that grant, and then it was like, okay, we're off. And my producer is a casting agent on the island, and she was great because she said we should just go for names, go for British television actors, and they can only say no, But if you don't send out and ask, you won't get anything back.
Exactly.
And so we'd looked at, I knew that I was willing to put some my own money into it. We got a second grant from the Isle of Man Arts Council, and I also did a Kickstarter campaign here in the US and raised an additional £10,000 that way. And we sent out our synopsis and the script to various actors. And initially, Kevin Doyle had come back and said that he would have loved to have done it, but he wasn't available. And then we had to change our dates because my DP got a paying job, and we had to switch our dates around, and suddenly Kevin became available.
Oh, wow.
And came out to do it. And he actually made my life so easy. He's made me look like a brilliant director.
Yeah, I thought I recognized him.
Because he's from Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey, yes.
Yes, that's his big recognized, face for the U.S. He also did a television series called Happy Valley. I don't know whether you saw that. It was a sort of northern kitchen sink cop show. But he had a second season on that where his character had the story arc, and it's devastating. If you have a chance, you should watch it. But he's absolutely brilliant, and he is so generous, and was just so great, and was so excited to be there, which was fantastic for us, and came and did it at equity scale, and so we had this amazing, recognized face who was absolutely brilliant, and we had a great time. But it was funny when we I got the script, and I had been very adamant at the beginning. We're going to be really, really conscious of doing things that we can attempt to do on the island, and then I started to flesh out how I wanted to shoot the script, and I'm talking to my producer, and I'm like, so you need to talk to the steam train people, because I need to get on the track, and I need to lay a girl on the track, and I need the steam train to come around the corner, and also, can we go to the airport, because I need to shoot a plane. There's a plane there, right, that we can film in?
Oh, my.
And can you get me a double-decker vintage bus, because I want to do that, but we have to be out on the road. You can do that too, right?
Oh, my.
Uh-huh.
I suddenly, sort of put my director hat on and went a little crazy. But the thing about the Isle of Man that's great is we had all those things that we could get, and they're all the steam train is a tourist attraction, but it also runs through 4 times a day back and forth between 2 towns, and the general public use it as transportation. But they were fantastic. We went to them and we talked to them about what we wanted to do, and they set it all up so the last train came by, and then once they'd cleared the track, we were able to put our girl down on the track and then map the 2 scenes together. And people look at the film and ask me if we used stock footage.
Which is what I thought. As I was watching it, I kept thinking, the first thought that ran through my head was that, well, the mechanics of how that got filmed. But then I started thinking, well, it has that color scheme and that granular look to it. So I just assumed it was some sort of stock footage. I didn't realize it was something that you made for the for the film.
All the black and white cutaways through the story. Every frame, we filmed every frame.
Wow.
And but it's great. I mean, it was it was fun for me to do that too, because it was different genres within the short film. I was able to play around and do all sorts of different things by creating those cutaways in the way that I did. And I wanted them to have a feel. Lance's character is a very sort of lonely guy. And I wanted all of his visual references to come from what he would have seen in the television or in newspapers. So the train had that, silent film look to it. The prison had a very noir, 40s black and white film feel to it. And that's how I wanted it to be. And those are the images I saw in my head when I first read the script.
Wow. So
it was.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that having been doing props for so many years, then it seems like it was a natural leap to go to directing, because if you're placing all the props, you kind of know how the scene is going to be mapped out and what's going to be needed where. So it just seems natural to me anyway.
It seems like that it would certainly aid in being able to visualize a scene as you're filming it.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And the other thing, too, about the prop master position in film and television is we have to know the script inside and out. I have to know every nuance of it, every storyline. I have to develop, and I do it for me more than anything, I have to rationalize why something would be there.
Right.
I can't just put something in if it doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
And even if it's in the script, I still have to rationalize how something would be. And so we know the story inside and out. We work closely with the actors. We work closely with costume because there's a lot of crossover. We work with special effects because of breakaway things or stuff. I have to build a bomb that then has to explode and those kind of things. We work obviously with the director. We work with all of the departments. And our department is one of the only departments that does interact with absolutely everybody.
Right. And you have to...
So with all of that in my experience pocket, it was, it wasn't like I was coming fresh out of film school to direct and I didn't actually know what you can and can't accomplish.
Right.
For instance, the train. I knew that we could get the train. I also knew that we could lock the camera off. I also knew that we would have to do it at a certain time of day, so we needed at the end of the day so that it would be safe. And so consequently, we would need to find somewhere where there weren't any trees, because if we had to wait 20 minutes or half an hour, the shadows would change and then our image would match.
Right.
But that's because of, years of working on film sets and seeing how people do things.
Right. And
I've been really lucky, too, to have worked with some amazing actors and amazing directors. So, I've realized that I sort of have absorbed all of that. And I have to say, it came very organically to me when I was there. I just knew exactly how I wanted things. And I'm really pleased with how the film turned out, because there's not anything in it that isn't exactly how I imagined it would be.
Well, that's wonderful. So I was going to say, you have to almost know every camera angle, too, so that the props are in the right place and turned the right way so that you don't have the bad side showing to the camera or whatever.
Right.
So,
well, there was I had a very specific vision for the short that a sort of Wes Anderson-esque theatrical look to it, which to me added to the visual aesthetic of the whole film, with the cutaways being sort of cinematic. So everything is very sort of almost two-dimensional and wide shot. And so my DP, who is also the writer, of the script, we sat and storyboarded every scene. We knew exactly how we were going to shoot it. And again, that's, partly knowing, partly just a love of cinema and a love of certain styles of cinema.
Right.
And also I just wanted to, the subject matter is quite heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I
didn't
know everybody says that. Like, oh no, he's not going to do that, is he? Oh no, I can't watch it. So I wanted it to have a hyper-reality feel to it, so that it wasn't, if it had been, real British kitchen sink drama, it would have been gut-wrenching.
Right.
And so to sort of add that slightly theatrical, two-dimensional look to it, for me, helped people be able to watch the story and come away not feeling completely miserable.
Right. Well, we identify we are the crazy cat ladies. We have 4 cats, so and we've lost 3 of them over the last 20 years. So it's heartbreaking when that happens. So
Yeah.
we identified with that, and then the heartbreak that comes with that, not to the level of Lance, but without,
Right.
I don't want to give anything away, but
Right.
it can feel that way. And you said as he was a very lonely person, and
Yeah, and Lance's scene where the veterinarian assistant comes out with the collar,
that was just,
and he just
Yeah.
starts crying, and I thought, okay, that was me when we've had to say goodbye to each of our cats. I mean, that was my reaction. That was
Yeah.
Keith's reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, granted.
No, he said when he said that he was going to do the film, we had a phone meeting to discuss the character, and he said, I just 3 months ago had to put my dog down, who was 18 years old.
wow.
So he said, getting to that place is not going to be hard
Right.
for me.
Yeah.
I completely can, know that anguish
Right.
and that guilt. And there's that afterwards when he's rationalizing, I had her cremated and, at the bus stop.
Right.
We had a whole conversation about that too, how, because I too have put my pets down when they've been, old or sick. And we had a conversation about the guilt.
Oh,
Know
it
that
still
it's the
haunts
right
me.
thing
Yeah.
to do, but this little creature has looked at you and with nothing but love for its entire life.
Yeah.
And you have to look in its eyes while it takes its last breath, and that's devastating.
Oh yes, we know.
Yes,
we
do.
know
Yeah.
so well.
Yeah.
So
But,
anyway.
but on a brighter note, I have to tell you the story of Galen the cat.
Oh, the cat is just
The cat's
adorable.
beautiful.
We have a big black cat.
Yeah, we have a big black
boy,
one. Yeah.
Oh my God! So I had wanted a black cat, obviously, and I sort of put the word out to people. Does anybody have a cat? And your cat people, you understand. Cats tolerate humans and do whatever they feel like doing. And I've also worked with picture cats.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how many treats or training things you do. If the cat feels like doing it, it will do it. And if the cat doesn't feel like doing it, he won't do it.
Exactly.
And so I had a trainer lined up who was looking for a cat for me in the UK. And I was out one day buying furniture for the set. And I had seen something online. Somebody was selling a piece of furniture. And I called this lady up and I said, I want to buy that. And she said, okay, come over. And it was sort of very James Herriot type farm that we arrived at. And I pulled in and she opened the door, and sitting in the middle of the hallway was this big gray Persian cat that was obviously a farm cat, because it was sort of its hair was a bit sort of dreadlocky and was slightly muddy, and it just sort of looked a bit quirky. And I looked at this cat, and I was like, oh, wow, that's such a great cat. It's such a shame you don't have a black one, because I'm looking for a black cat. And she said, oh, I do. And she's like, say no. And this cat came around the corner and sat down and looked at me, and I'm like, that's my cat.
Oh, my gosh.
Right there. So we had to sort of talk her into it, because Galen, the gray cat, went outside, but Galen never had been outside.
Uh-huh.
So I had to sort of talk her into it. And I was like, I talked to the trainer, and she was in the UK, and we decided, she basically said the same thing I had said all along, which was, unless you've got 6 months to work with a cat, you can't guarantee that the cat's going to cross the room with you.
Right.
And we just don't have the time. So I said, okay, well, you know what? We're just going to go, and we're going to do it. And we'll make the set quiet, and we'll let the cat wander around. And when we're ready to go, the cat's mom can hold him and let him go from one side, and we'll hope for the best.
Yeah.
And I tell you, that cat hit his mark every turn, with a little bit of ham in Kevin's hand, and was a complete superstar.
Wow.
I couldn't, again, it was like the production gods shone on me for every single piece of that film.
Wonderful.
The cat, brilliant. Kevin was brilliant. The weather played. I mean, I couldn't have asked for more. It'll be downhill from now on, I'm sure.
Right. So,
but the cat was hysterical.
wow.
And she took it out halfway through into a small room and put him in his little crate and played classical music to sort of calm him down. And, the cat was just hamming it up for everybody. He was just sort of sat on the stove while we were lighting and looked at everybody, and then popped down and walked right up to Kevin every single time. It was brilliant.
That's great. So the name of the film is Ready to Go.
Ready to Go, yeah.
And then One Last Look, Kid. That's kind of the subtitle of the film, is that?
Yes.
So why in the heck are we talking to you right now? What's happening?
Well, we finished the film, which was amazing. I got to do a bit of post-production, which I'd never done before, and scoring and music and sound. And we finished, and it's out on the festival circuit. And I have been really lucky. I've won 2 Best First-Time Director awards. The film has won several awards of excellence. We are due to have our premiere screening in the UK at the East End Film Festival this coming weekend. I'm actually flying out on Thursday to London for 2 days to go to the screening. We were at Sunscreen in Florida at the end of April.
That's on the 29th.
We're in Albuquerque in June.
Oh.
There's 2 other screenings that we've been picked up for. So basically, we are on the circuit now.
Yeah.
And, hopefully racking up the awards.
Yeah.
And hopefully, networking and meeting people. And, I'm going to get out there and hopefully people will like it, and somebody will see something in it and my directing style that would encourage them to take me on for, a real paying project.
Yeah. So the East End Film Festival is April 14th in London.
Yeah.
The North American premiere is Sunscreen International Film Festival, April 29th in St. Petersburg, Florida. And then the South End on Sea Film Festival, May 25th to the 29th at South End on Sea, UK. I don't understand it, but I assume that's one of those those places that has a name like that.
It's a funny name, but South End on Sea is the town, and they have a film festival there. We're also in Chelmsford, but I don't remember the dates for that.
Yeah, that wasn't in what we got, so it was. The reason I know is we did the press release for you yesterday, today as of recording this. So, this was just a fascinating talk. I really enjoyed it.
Yes,
It was so much
wonderful talking to you. So, for anybody who wants to know more about you, your work, because you are a busy person.
I am a busy
You
person.
are a very, very busy person. I mean, as you told us earlier, you're working on True Detectives right now, and that's why you're in Arkansas. So you, I mean, not only are you promoting Ready to Go, but you're working. If people
I am working at all. I have my prop house in the UK, which you can find at Linda's Prop Shop on Facebook. We have Ready to Go short film on Facebook. Also, both those are the same handles for our Instagram. And I have to say, because I'm so busy, I just don't tweet.
Yeah.
But hopefully things will get busy enough that maybe I can get somebody to tweet for me.
Yeah, there you
fair
go.
enough.
Hey, that works. So, and you have a Facebook. Did you say that already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
Sorry.
Linda's Prop Shop is on Facebook.
But also, Ready to Go is on.
Ready
on
to Go is on there too.
Yeah. So, what is coming up for you? Do you have anything in the works that you want to talk about, or?
I'm looking at John Crane, who wrote Ready to Go. We're working on. I've given him some ideas for my next short. And after watching the fabulous Frances McDormand and her brilliant speech at the Oscars,
was
Right.
she
Oh.
not
and
amazing?
also seeing Lady Bird and watching Three Billboards, I really decided that I would like to do a woman's story or a girl's story. And so John and I are developing a project of a mother-daughter short. And that's basically the parameters I gave him to start. And when I see him in London next week, hopefully he's going to have something to show me. But I would really, especially now with the women's movement within the film industry, of the pushing for female directors and pushing for female roles and for female stories, I think it's a good time. And I would like to, being a woman, I'm obviously in touch with that.
Right.
But I would really like to. I think that it would be great. For me, it's all about the story. I love a good yarn, and so I just want a good, in-depth character story, and I would like to try it with a mom and a daughter story this time.
Okay.
Very nice.
That's wonderful. Well, Linda Reese, prop master and turn director with Ready to Go, thank you for being on our show this
What
time.
a great
It was
conversation.
wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Hey guys, my name's Gigi Edgley. I play Tiana on Farscape, and I'm the host of Jim Henson's Creature Shot Challenge, and you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks. Big love.
And here's a few selected birthdays for April 9th through April 15th, 2018. April 9th, Dennis Quaid. Is that Quaid from...
Yes.
okay.
From Total Recall.
Yeah,
Sam
okay.
Quaid. Didn't you know that?
I just wondered.
He's a supplanted personality.
Aha! And also on April 9th, Nick Hunt, a filmmaker in Florida that we know, and a good friend, Tracy Kloss.
Happy birthday, Tracy.
April 10th, Haley Joel Osment and Max von Sydow. Flash!
Ah!
Yeah, we have an opportunity. Well, shoot, we're not
We
going to be able
don't.
to see Flash.
No, Flash Gordon is going to be at the Phoenix Film Festival, but we have a panel that we need to attend
Yeah.
at the same time.
Dang
so,
it! I
know.
wanted to see Ming the Merciless on the big screen.
Well, he looks pretty good on the big screen.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a big screen TV now. Maybe,
Well,
I mean,
not that big.
Well, but if you sit 6 inches from it, it'll seem like that.
That's true. Also on April 10th, David Harbour, who is on Stranger Things.
Oh, yes, he's the sheriff.
Yes, exactly. April 11th, Joel Grey and Chloe Bennett. April 12th, Montserrat Caballé, famed opera singer. She was born in 1933. Also, David Cassidy.
I am still sad that he has passed away.
I am too.
What
It just...
talent!
Yeah, I was just looking at his photo, and I thought, oh my God, he was so cute.
He really was, and he really had an amazing voice when he let it all out. He's fantastic.
Yeah. Also, on April 12th, Ann Miller.
Who's Ann Miller?
Leave this show. Also, Stephen Gertner, another opera singer.
Good friend Stephen Gertner. I love that guy, and he's amazing bass baritone.
Yep. April 13th, Eric Avari. Bunny
Way?
Yes. Who plays all kinds of characters. He's just a wonderful little character actor.
Oh, he's a fantastic character actor.
And also, Don Adams. Don Adams. And Peter Davison. Thomas Jefferson, and Guy Fawkes was born in 1570. Remember the 5th of November. April 14th, Peter Capaldi and Worthy Meacham, a.k.a. Mama in L.A. Happy birthday, Mama. April 15th, Elizabeth Montgomery.
Twinkle, twinkle, twinkle.
Where's my where's my sound? I forgot to put it on the front.
Oops.
Anyway, as my sister would say, "Meeny, meeny, rink."
Is that how she said it?
Yes. Also on April 15th, Emma Thompson and Emma Watson.
Oh, the Emmas.
And Luke Evans. And Charles Wilson Peale, who was the portrait painter of a ton of the Founding Fathers. And a lot of his work was, what is it, the Second Bank of the United States? Or First Bank or something?
We saw a lot of his work when we were in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
and it was just like, wow.
Yeah, around the corner from the Independence Hall. I can't remember if it's Second Bank or First Bank of the United
something
States.
Like that,
something. And also on April 15th, Leonardo da Vinci. And that's it for the birthdays this time. Go give it a listen to our friends over at Krypton Radio, and thanks to Gene Turnbow for that teaser of Tara Strong doing a little teaser for him. And now it's time for everybody's favorite.
Yeah. Oh boy, we're at it again. I like that pulsating thing going on there. Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay, got a little bit of feedback that we kind of collected over the week. And starting off with episode 162, and that's when we got to interview Gigi Edgley from Farscape. And we got a comment from Hamish Downey. And wow, it's a small world. Because he says, looking forward to listening to the podcast. My sister Naomi was a featured extra on an episode of Starscape. Yeah,
Starscape.
And she had some good stories from the set.
Cool.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
I mean, yeah, it was filmed in Australia, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind hearing some of those stories, too.
Yeah.
Have a chance. And then flashing forward to episode 163, and this is where we were chatting with Chuck Tomasi about Altered Carbon. And we got a comment from Arkle, and he says that Deachin Lockman wasn't on Arrow. She was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay, let me back. Yes, Deachin Lockman, I don't know why, but I continually get her confused with Selena Jade, who did play Shadow in Arrow. I don't know why. I've been getting those two mixed up since day one. So, yes, Arkle, you called me out on it. Very good. And then we had a spotlight Sunday on the man, the myth, the legend, Alan Smithy.
Alan Smithy, and that was on April the 1st. So
yes, so
I was kind of proud of that, and nobody read it.
I thought it was brilliant, to be honest. And there are a few people that did enjoy it. We got a comment from Julia Camara, who was the writer. Camera. I hate to say camera. It just doesn't sound right. She was the writer for Occupants, and she says he's one of my influences for sure. And then Hamish Downey says, Smithy, Alan Smithy, at your service. Patricia Chica, great filmmaker. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten an Oscar nomination yet.
I know. All of the things that he has done, from miscellaneous crew to directing to composing
I know.
to acting to, my gosh.
Yeah, they need to create the Alan Smithy Award.
Exactly.
For the Academies.
Oh, my.
Yeah. And then lastly, got a comment from Hannibal Taboo, and he just simply says, that's pretty funny. And then to close it off, we have a review for Ready Player One. And I should add that all of these things that we just touched on, articles and episodes, these will be in the show notes. The link, we will provide the links for these in our show notes. Wow. Okay, that's how
our show notes in the show notes in the show notes.
Our show notes and the links. And anyway, got a comment from Kurt in Calgary. Hey, nice to hear from you again, Kurt.
Hey, Kurt.
And he says, so kind of like, yeah, from Curtin, Calgary.
Curtin, Calgary.
Yeah. And he says, so kind of like generic robot movie featuring Will Smith.
Yes.
No comment.
Yeah.
And that's our feedback for this week.
And we have a little opinion piece here that I want to say something.
Yes.
It's very concerning. And we received a note from a good friend about some ugliness going on with an internet content publisher. And while we're not going to mention any names or anything on either side, I feel we need to make a comment about the situation. First, as content publishers ourselves, we have several contributors that provide us with content, and it distresses me, or us.
Distresses me
distresses us. Anyone would treat colleagues with anything other than respect and, at the very least, courtesy. Sometimes we can't get along, but common courtesy.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
There's ways to have a sense of professionalism.
Absolutely. And apparently that has not been the case with this concern. And that's extremely distressing. And we're all flawed human beings. And yes, we don't always get it right, but we are open to acknowledging our failings and sincerely apologize when confronted. Oh my gosh. How many times have I had to apologize about something? Because, hey, I am wrong occasionally, and I just want to wind this up and say, we need to treat people with respect. And I'm going to quote a wise person that we know. It says, treat people right because karma's a bitch. And that's our comments. And we want to hear from you. And if you want to talk about anything, if you want to talk about our episodes or our content that we have on the website, you can certainly do that. On each article, we have a comment section at the bottom. You can comment on our Facebook page or on Twitter, or you can even call us at our listener feedback line. It's 469-TG-GEEKS, and that's 469-844-3357. And please play nice.
Yes, the force is strong with the Two Gay Geeks webcast.
I'm done.
Done as in how? Done playing with a board?
Yeah.
Okay. We alluded to the Phoenix Film Festival that is going on. We finally got a chance to attend last night.
Yeah.
And
we were so busy. We didn't get tickets to the opening night of Thursday night because I was traveling and forgot about it.
Well, just didn't have time.
And then Friday night we had opera and
yeah.
Had interviews and show stuff to do on Saturday morning, and finally made it over there in the late afternoon. And it was really great to meet a bunch of the people that we corresponded with about the sponsorship and different people, that are associated with Phoenix Film Festival, and to see the energy and some other people that we know in other venues. And
it was really nice. We bumped into Lee Massey. She is our contact person for Finger Paint. That's the marketing company that we work with that gets us press screenings, and it was nice to actually be able to she was working, but she was working behind a table. She didn't have to take a lot of names and get a lot of information, so we could actually have a conversation. It was really nice.
Yeah, it was kind of nice.
And we met Greg Hall, or bumped into Greg Hall. I shouldn't say met. We know him.
Yeah,
he's a friend of ours.
Yeah, met Jason Carney and Leanne Dolan, who's we worked with, as well as a number of other people. It was
a great experience.
Yeah, the energy and the people, it was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And we also saw the new poster for Chimera.
Ooh.
And we got a picture taken with that. So
we'll put that picture in our website, the show notes for this episode.
And then we actually got to watch the what was it? The sci-fi shorts.
Sci-fi shorts Block B.
Block B that evening, and which we posted on the website this Sunday morning.
Sunday morning.
Yeah.
This morning, as of the recording of this, but
Yes.
Sunday morning, yes, we wrote down all the movies that we got to see. A very interesting collection, I would say.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Fascinating.
But again, it speaks to the fact that some of these movies, some of the shorts, I thought were just fabulous.
Yeah.
And again, and we've been saying this since we really began to push independent creators and independent filmmakers, that the talent out there is just awe-inspiring sometimes.
Exactly.
And that's the beautiful thing about the film festival, and that it gives you an opportunity to see talent that normally doesn't kind of get that big break from the big studios.
Yeah, and we're going to go back today
Going back later this afternoon.
Today's Geek Day, or Sunday is Geek Day.
Sunday is Geek Day. We'll be going back for that. There's an interesting panel that
Yeah.
we're really
A couple
looking
of
forward
panels,
to. A couple panels, but
women filmmakers, and then shock and awe about horror and sci-fi.
Ooh,
and
excited about that one.
and whatnot. And then we're hopefully we'll get to see a couple of friends of ours from the Sedona area, the Jan-Mark Quisenbing and
Dave
Beatty are supposed to be there for the Geek Day. So hopefully we're going to do that. It's Phoenix Film Festival, and then next weekend, oh my gosh, busy.
Insanely busy.
Yeah, Chimera is showing 3 days. It's Friday,
Saturday, and Sunday, I think.
around noon. Saturday is around noonish, and then Sunday's around 1:30 or 2,
2:30,
something like
yeah.
that. And Maurice Himes is going to be in town, as well as Amazon Eve. And who knows who else is going to join him? He might have other people that are associated with.
That'd be
the film.
cool.
You never know.
That would be cool. I mean, who that little actress? I mean, she lives up in Sedona.
Oh, really? Okay.
So yeah, I think it'd be totally awesome if she were able to make it down for this.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'm talking about the wrong movie.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So pay no attention to what I just said.
pay no attention.
Pay no
to
attention.
that man behind the mic.
Yeah, that's one of the problems when you see so many independent films. That
they all run together
they kind of
sometimes.
run together
especially
sometimes.
when you're tired.
Yeah, boy, are we tired. So yeah, pay no attention to that last comment. Oh, I have no idea what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for our talk about Phoenix Film Festival.
Yes. And talk about busy. Holy moly, were we busy with getting the
Oh, my
content
gosh.
out there.
Yeah.
So let me do a quick rundown of everything that came out this last week that you can find on our website. And again, we will post the links for all of these in our show notes. On Monday, in addition to our episode 163 coming out, there was a press release about Lilith's Awakening.
Yeah, it was released on Amazon Streaming.
So there's that. And then on Tuesday, Andrea, she did another review of the Alien Kitty Cat series. This time the review was for Alien Tango, Romance and Action. And then Wednesday, there was the press release for Chimera that will be playing at the Phoenix Film Festival. There was another old classics, newly reviewed film from Jeannie Koch, the wonderful, amazing Jeannie Koch, and the movie is Mrs. Brown, You've Got a Lovely Daughter. On that title alone, I think I need to see the movie.
No.
No. I haven't read the review, but the title's really got me just like, wow.
No.
And then there was a press release about how Square Egg Entertainment, they're the ones who are behind Phoenix Comic
Fest.
Thank you. Gosh, can't keep track of the names anymore. Anyway, they're bringing Fan Fusion to Las Vegas. On Thursday, there was a 3-episode thought on a TV series we recently started watching, Timeless. And Andrea came out with, Andrea Richoff, she presented a review for the movie Blockers, the new comedy that is, she called both heartwarming and hilarious. And on Friday, of course, there was from the wonderful and always amazing Hamish Downey. No, Hamish, what am I saying? Oh, my. It is Hamish Downey. Isn't it? It is
Yes.
Hamish. Yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah, that's how tired I am, people. Please forgive me. Anyway, it's his News Sushi Morsels of News from Japan and Beyond, number 5. We had a review for for Ready Player One that came out. And we published a little article that also came out from Hamish. We decided that we wanted to have this come out as a separate article, but it's about Isao Takahata, who is the co-founder for Studio Ghibli, and he passed away at the age of 82. And then on Saturday, another entry in the Social Saturday column, and this time it's for the Poison Pen Bookstore. And if you're ever in Old Town Scottsdale, check that bookstore out. It's awesome.
We've been to several of Jeannie Koch's book launches there, and I posted on my Facebook page, I said, mainly for the cake, because she always says cake.
Always says cake there. Cake?
Cake. It's cake.
It's cake. And then on Sunday, we did another entry in our Spotlight Sunday, and this time it's for Dr. Trek himself, Larry Nemechek.
Hey, Larry.
Thank you. And, of course, also the little article that we did wrapping up the Saturday night happenings of the Phoenix Film Festival number 18 and the Sci-Fi Shorts Block B. And we just ran a press release for the directorial debut.
Yeah, ready to go. That we just talked to her.
We just talked to Linda Reese. Yes, so we just spoke to her, and this is her big debut. So we've got that press release, and that came out on Sunday as well.
Yeah, as we've talked to her, she's a veteran of the film industry, but
she really has
different,
been around.
So,
but this is her first time tackling.
Yeah, and you can find all these things at tggeeks.com, as well as entries on our Facebook page. Please visit and comment on those things. As always, we have follow-up items. Check out the calendar on the website. If you have a birthday or an event or a con, film festival, send us a note. We'll put it on the calendar, and we'll talk about it. Phoenix Film Festival, April 5th through the 15th.
Going on right now
At Harkins Scottsdale 101. I think they said that they had 250 films and 25,000 attendees over 11 days last year, but I think there was
it's over 300 now.
300 films.
Yeah, I was looking at the program that we have, and it mentioned over 300.
Yeah, and we're sponsors. We have our ad on page
our
67.
Ad showed up.
Page 67
and it
of
also
the program.
shows up as part of a sort of
the
pre-show reel.
And we'll be there April 13th through the 15th in support of Chimera. Also, Phoenix Comic Fest takes place at the Convention Center May 24th through the 27th. Arizona Opera has finished its season so far, and however, next season looks like it's going to be absolutely incredible. It begins in October. Get your tickets today.
I just want to say that that production of Das Rheingold that they closed off the season with.
Oh my gosh.
The production gave me chills.
Yeah,
and
we should have talked about that in the second segment too. I didn't think about it.
I just simply want to say, and I'm going to echo what I've said in the past, and that is, if opera is not the stuffy thing that a lot of people like to make it out to be. If you are a geek about music or about acting or about stagecraft, if you're a theater geek, holy moly, especially Das Rheingold, it spoke to every kind of geek out there. It was amazing, and I absolutely loved it. And if we didn't have the film festival, I would want to see that production again.
Exactly. And you can still get tickets at azopera.org. Check out the third edition of Podcasting for Dummies, written by our friends T. Morris and Chuck Tomasi. Go to podcastingfordummies.com. And as you know, we're big, huge supporters of independent creators, especially filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, and others. Please support them by buying their stuff, commenting on their stuff, etc. Support indie creators.
Yes.
Hashtag
indie. Yes, absolutely. Yes, right. Need to write that into the script now.
I put that on our Twitter today.
I saw that.
Changed it to support indie creators.
Yeah, I saw that. It was awesome. Special shout out to Doctor Who Talking Who and Human Arkle on Twitter. They both have paper leads that they publish. Doctor Who Talking Who's is the Doctor Who Fancast Guide. The Human Arkles is the Arkle Times Post Dispatch News. We give them shout outs because they continually repost our content. Thank you. And speaking of Arkle, he is on Tumblr. He has the incorrect Star Trek Voyager quotes. Check it out. You never know. Arkle might post something there just to mess with your mind as well.
Absolutely.
And a special shout out to the Facebook group, The Gay Geek, for allowing us to post our content there on their page. And the URL is facebook.com/group/thegaygeek. And as always, Jeremiah Reeves, you are a true mensch. We love you. Thank you for allowing us to share our content there.
Yes, thank you, Jeremiah. We want to remind you to occasionally click on our ads, the Amazon ads that we have running on our site at the bottom of each article and on the right side in the widgets. So check out the content that we have there, and if you want to buy something, click on one of those ads. And lastly, check us out on iHeartRadio and Spreaker and Stitcher and iTunes and YouTube and all those other places,
all those
on the
places
internet,
on the intertubes,
the intertubes,
the
and
interwebs.
the interwebs, and the Facebook and the Twitter and all of that kind of neat stuff. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you never know what's coming up next. Speaking of coming up next, I believe next week we're going to have Mr. Nate Wonderman, who's the Chief Comics Officer of Wonderman Comics.
Yeah, we met him at Comic-Con International in San Diego.
There you go.
Oh, boy.
Say it right.
I'm tired. Why can't we just call it San Diego Comic-Con and be done with it?
Exactly. All right, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page, and remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. I bid you peace.
Cheers.
And carrots.